What fact do you know that makes people go, why the f do you know that? It was an annual tradition for the Pharaoh of Egypt to masturbate into the Nile with an audience. A co-worker told me one day, "You'll know when it's truly the first day of spring because lake water will warm up and make any dead bodies in the lake float to the top surface due to bacteria." He continued with, "Except for in Lake Superior where the water temperature never gets warm enough to build bacteria in a dead body. And that's one co-worker I'll never make mad right there." The first Pong machine was dropped off at a local tavern owned by friends of one of the developers for a test run. After a few days, the game started to malfunction. The tavern owner called one of the devs, Alan Alcorn, to come fix it, and when Alcorn got there it was discovered that it was malfunctioning because it was too full of quarters. When Napoleon Bonaparte died in exile, they cut off his penis and gave it to the local parish priest. The priest later sold it to raise money for his parish, and it's been sold and resold down through the centuries, and to this day there are 3 people who claim to own Napoleon's penis. No one knows why this happened, and it's not the important part of the story. The important part is, who the hell do those other 2 penises belong to? There's a type of slug that has penises on its head. The US is one of the few countries that allows strike-anywhere matches to be sold. Do not bring them on a plane. For example, you're going on a camping trip and put them in your checked luggage. You'll be fined several $1,000s. There's no exemption from the fine, but the FAA will work out a payment plan with you. Dragonflies are the most effective hunter on the planet, catching 95% of the prey they go after. The first known vending machine was created in the 1st century AD and it was located in Egypt. The machine dispensed holy water and it also took coins like ours do today. The annual migration of birds was only discovered in 1822 when a stork turned up in Germany with a 30-inch African spear through its neck. Before that, we seriously thought migratory birds slept at the bottom of ponds or flew to the moon for the winter. Google, Files torch. The quickest way to the heart actually is through the stomach. According to archaeological evidence, the Aztecs basically discovered through their years of sacrificing people that it's way quicker to cut open the stomach and then go up and under the rib cage to cut the heart out, rather than trying to break open the ribs to get through them. They could apparently get someone's heart out this way in only a few seconds, and there are accounts of sacrifices where multiple thousands of people had their hearts cut out in a single day, which would take forever if they didn't know the quickest method. In Massachusetts it's illegal to consume more than 3 sandwiches at a funeral. The most random law I've ever heard about. I know the full name of Dom Pedro I, first Emperor of Brazil, since I was a child: Pedro de Alcântara, Francisco Antonio João Carlos Xavier de Paula Miguel Rafael Joaquim José Gonzaga Pascual Cipriano Serafim de Bragança e Bourbon. Captain Crunch's full name is Horatio Magellan Crunch and he captains a ship called the Guppy. Cocaine was such an influence on Fleetwood Mac's rumors that they wanted to credit their dealer. According to Mattel, Barbie's real name is Barbara Millicent Roberts. And Ken's last name is Carson. In order to snap someone's neck like in movies or video games, you need to be strong enough to apply roughly 100 to 115% of the victim's body weight in rotational force. Much more difficult than Hollywood would make you believe. If you sneeze when coming from a dark room into sunlight, it is because of a specific gene which is named ACHU. I know because I have it. Autosomal dominant compelling helio-ophthalmic outburst, ACHU, syndrome is characterized by uncontrollable sneezing in response to the sudden exposure to bright light, typically intense sunlight. The longest poop ever recorded was over 8 feet. The kiwi is a bird closely related to the emu and the ostrich, despite having the size of a chicken. Nature made it small but forgot about the egg, which is about the size of an emu egg. The slime on a shark's skin is chemically identical to the natural lubricant produced by the human vagina. Dolphins can fall deeply in love and develop relationships just like humans can. It has been recorded multiple times that when a human and dolphin, who have formed a strong relationship between them over a long period of time, are separated, the dolphin becomes so depressed that they willfully commit suicide by sinking to the bottom of their pool/lagoon and refuse to come up for air until they drown to death. If people were otherwise immortal and nobody had any more children, and you shot someone every second, it would take around 230 years to kill off the human race. In the US, small marshmallows are considered food, so they're exempt from sales tax. Large marshmallows are taxed as candy. Cannibalism is only illegal in one state of the United States. A botfly egg can land on your skin and implant within a fraction of a second. If one hits you in the eye, it is possible that it can implant the egg under your eyelid so your eye incubates and subsequently feeds the growing larva. I know this because I have removed one from the underside of an eyelid before from a patient with a recalcitrant eyelid infection. Edit, may have extra vectors. Rats are bisexual by nature and females will have group orgies with each other when in heat. Males' balls can take up 10% of their entire mass. There was a study where they put females in lingerie and accustomed the males to it to the point they only saw the lingerie-wearing rats as suitable mates. Rats can give in to peer pressure and eat things they don't like if everyone else is eating it. Rats cannot burp or vomit. With the amount of people killing pest rats by poison, they are creating bigger, smarter, poison-resistant mutant rats. The main legal consideration between grave robbery and archaeology is age and if the deceased has any living relatives. Where I live, if the deceased has been dead over a century and has no living descendants, it's not considered grave robbery and you can claim any valuables found, jewelry, coins, artifacts, etc. Elephants have prehensile penises, i.e. they can move them like a tail. There is an entire rainforest-esque ecosystem in your belly button. Koalas are the most alien of all mammals on the planet. They have 2 thumbs on each hand, 3 vaginas, spend most of their lives asleep, and evolved to only eat one plant that has no nutritional value. They also eat their mother's poop. 2/3 of US Civil War deaths were caused by disease. The cheetah is the only cat without retractable claws. 50% of sloth deaths happen while they are pooping. Most sloths climb down from trees to poop and tend to die to predators at this time. You can't own more than 6 stills in Texas. Don't use household candles for wax play. Ordinary paraffin wax melts at 70 degrees Celsius, which is hot enough to cause serious burns. If you really want to try it out, you need to buy specialty low-temperature candles that only melt at 45 degrees Celsius. There's other things too, about how to properly prepare someone's skin to protect the downy hair all over the body, or how to vary the intensity and interval of the heat, but most people stop me before I even get that far. If you hold a sheep's nose closed so that it can't breathe, it forces the sheep to pee. Source: a friend of my dad's used to be a vet for farm animals. This was a great way of getting a sample if a sheep was sick. Dolphins masturbate with dead, beheaded fish and then leave them for other fish to eat. When bears hibernate, they generate a mucus wax to cover their buttholes so that nothing can get in. There's a name for this, it's a fecal plug, and it seems to be actually made from hardened feces, but it only has a light odor that is not unpleasant. The woman who voiced Muriel on Courage the Cowardly Dog was married to the guy who played drums on the Beatles song Love Me Do. He died a few years ago and she died a few months ago. Thea and Andy White. A pregnant woman can legally shit on a footpath in Melbourne, Australia. You're more likely to be sexually assaulted by a dolphin than eaten by a shark. A modern smartphone can fit up the human rectum. I am a corrections officer. There are more plastic flamingos in the world than real ones. Mr. Rogers personally replied to each piece of fan mail he ever received. It takes a sloth a whole month to travel 1 mile across ground. I love the House Party app. I just use it for random facts these days. World record for maximum faps in a day was like 83 times and he died after that. The longest word you can make using the top row of a keyboard is typewriter. The average vaginal depth is between 4 and 5 inches. For all species of the cat family, mating is painful. It's not the biting that hurts the female, it's the male's penis, which is barbed with 100 tiny hooks. When I explain that artificial banana flavoring tastes off because it was formulated to taste like the Gros Michel banana. Bananas as we know them have been bred to a point of genetic similarity that means they may as well be clones. This ensures a consistent product, but it also opens banana populations up to illness. The weakness of one banana becomes the weakness of them all. So when a fungal illness struck, the Gros Michel was wiped out. Were it not for the Cavendish banana, we would be banana-less, and we still eat the less sweet Cavendish banana to this day. However, all is not well in Banana Kingdom. Seemingly having learned nothing, we still make bananas too genetically similar to one another, tempting the same fate suffered by the Gros Michel. Ohio is the only state that doesn't share any letters with the word mackerel. In the 1700s they used to rent out pineapples for hundreds of dollars. People would parade their pineapple around the streets flexing on the peasants that couldn't afford to rent a pineapple. You can legally marry your first cousin in Georgia. Stalin was shorter than Napoleon at 5 feet 5 inches and his left arm was shorter with a deformed hand due to blood poisoning. The world's first commercially produced oil well was drilled in Titusville, Pennsylvania. Colonel Drake stuck oil at 69.5 feet and this ushered in the oil boom of the late 1860s. He died penniless because he never patented his method of drilling. Edit, there is an oil well just south of the Drake well called McClintock No. 1. It's the world's oldest continuously producing oil well. It produces about a barrel a year, but I was told it mostly pumps up brine water. Figs are not a fruit but actually an inverted flower. They get pollinated by fig wasps, that crawl inside, losing their wings and antennae in the process and dying there. The fig then produces some enzymes that end up digesting the wasp. After it's pollinated, some small fruits grow inside, some little seed-like crunchy things. In the state of Pennsylvania, there are the towns of Intercourse, Climax, Paradise, and Blue Ball, no joke. These are the actual names of those towns, and they are all with range of each other. But what makes it even more epic is that the locals use this humor for their tourism advertising. To get to Paradise, you have to start at Intercourse and drive through Climax. But if you hit Blue Ball you have gone too far. I only remember this because my dad bought a t-shirt that had this. It was Flavor Aid at Jonestown, not Kool-Aid. Methane poisoning is probably the most painless way to die. The human body can be drained of blood in 8.6 seconds given adequate vacuuming systems. You have erectile tissue in your nose. Orcas are the biggest natural predators of moose. There is a psychological disorder in which people believe they are a cow and it's called boanthropy. A wood frog can hold its pee for up to 8 months. If you keep a goldfish in the dark, it will lose its color and become white. You can actually dig to China from Argentina. The Mona Lisa doesn't have eyebrows. There is a kind of psychologist called a wealth psychologist that specializes in helping wealthy people deal with immense guilt or not being emotionally able to cope with being rich. A single spaghetti noodle is called a spaghetto. A Polish doctor faked a typhus outbreak in order to prevent The youngest pope was only 11 years old. A man once filmed 7 episodes of a soap opera in IKEA without getting caught. The opera. Pigs will eat the entire human body except for the teeth. When cremating a body, if you don't remove the teeth, they will pop like popcorn. If a person is skinned alive, they will die of hypothermia before blood loss. If humans wanted to have the same eyesight as an owl we would have to have eyes the size of a grapefruit. Most sea monster sightings are actually a whale sticking its penis out of the water. Chimpanzees can run at 25 miles per hour. The distance a squirrel would need to fall in order to die is 4,800 miles. This is because squirrels cannot die from a terminal velocity fall, they would have to fall far enough to die from starvation. Your teeth are the only part of your skeleton that you actively clean. The velociraptors in Jurassic Park are not to scale. They are about knee to thigh height. Their size was based off their relatives, the Deinonychus. Woody's name is Woody Pride. Mr. Clean is veritably clean. Cookie Monster is Sid. Yes, those are their real names. The US lost 65 nuclear weapons during the Cold War and had specific names for the situations, e.g. an empty quiver was a weapon that had been lost or stolen. The US too intentionally released radiation into the local environment from the Hanford nuclear site in the Green Run in 1949, which lent Call of Duty the name for the map and location for transit in Black Ops 2. Pineapples contain enzymes that break down proteins, which is why your mouth goes tingly when you eat lots of it. Given this, theoretically you could dissolve a body in pineapple juice. Shrimp live in the canopies of the redwood forests. They get there via literal seagull poop, and the lush coastal ecosystem forms little puddles on the branches in which they grow and live. Clownfish will change genders if their mate dies and then mate with their children. Mosquitoes have 47 teeth. There's more kind of bagpipes in France than the whole British Isles. Bagpipes likely came to Scotland via the Norse. Scottish bagpipes are a B-flat instrument that only plays the D scale. Most European and many Asian countries have some national form of bagpipes. The foreskin of circumcised babies are typically reused as lip grafts. I learned this after I had to get my lip replaced. It was interesting to learn some likely religious family practicing a basic tenet inadvertently helped give me my new lip. The title of the movie and the novel Trainspotting is a reference to an old pastime in which people would keep logs of the unique, named locomotives that passed through their towns. It was very popular in Britain because the trains used to all be fairly unique designs. It's supposed to be a metaphor for the banality of existence and the things people do to pass the time.